Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Stories with Ori. Today, I have another special guest, and believe it or not, I met him for the first time in person. We had a great breakfast at the Belvedere at the Peninsula Hotel, but we had known each other for a couple of years, I guess, on Clubhouse. Everybody say hello to Mikey. You all know him from there. Mikey Ciorrocco, known as C-Roc.
What's up, Ori?
How are you?
Great,
Now,
man.
my first question to you is, why do they call you C-Roc?
So my last name, being Italian, it's hard to pronounce for some people. So I just got tired of pronouncing it for people all the time. So I just started going with what people started with. C-Roc, how do you pronounce that? C-Roc? And I just said, yeah, let's just leave it there. And so in college, I ended up getting a vanity plate on the back of my car that said C-Roc.
Really?
I had a 1995 Eagle Talon, blue, with a black top on it. And it was stick shift. And yeah, that's where it was. And that's where it all started. And
That would be good to have a plate like that. No.
Well, the problem was one time I was over at a girl's house and I woke up the next morning and my all four tires were flat and somebody had stole my vanity plates. And apparently she had a jealous ex-boyfriend or something.
Really?
So I said, you know what, the hell with it. I don't need to do that. I'll just stay undercover.
You know, Mike, now I'll call you Mike. I'll call you C. What do you want me to call you?
Whatever you want, man. My friends call me C-Roc and you're a friend, so.
Okay. C-Roc, we met on Clubhouse, and a lot of people don't know what Clubhouse is.
Mm-hmm.
But during the pandemic, Clubhouse became a social audio app, and it was huge. It was great when it first began. It was simple to use. And I mean, you go in rooms with 2,500, 3,000 people, and it was an awesome time when we were locked down. But a big change came when the pandemic was over. All the real people actually left there. What do you think of that there?
Well, I think it was the perfect storm, right? We had the pandemic, everybody was in lockdown, and human beings need connection. Right. And so people were searching like connection. I need some connection. So I'm sure everybody was scrolling on social media. And then the people started to see that the invite system that they used, which was ingenious at the time.
It was really good when they first began with just the iPhones and it was invite only.
Yeah.
You had good quality people.
Yeah. And then, all the sharks started to come out too. Everybody that was looking to make some money while they were stuck in the house.
Yeah.
And then you'd have people coaching, courses, selling their programs and everything, which was awesome. But there was also some slime balls. And then they kind of ruined it. So, but at the end of the day, we have some fantastic relationships that we've developed. And that's me. I'm a relationship guy. I love people. I love the right kind of people. And through that journey, I think we both ran into some good people, some people, and some really bad people.
Well, you were running one of the best rooms until Clubhouse made that big change.
Yeah.
That, they had such a simple app that was, why do people complicate things? I can't figure it out. You got something that's working, let it work.
Yeah, so that's easy for us to say, and it kind of ruined our culture that we had. But the other thing in business, as you know, you got to make risks sometimes. You got to take risks sometimes. And most of the time, it doesn't pan out. So I think personally that they took a risk because what they had was kind of stagnant for them as a business. And it just didn't work. And so it's easy for us to say not being in their shoes.
Yeah, well.
So I look at it that way. I try to look at all different perspectives of things. Yeah. And of course, I was complaining a little bit too. But then I started to notice after they made that change, most of the people on the app were those that weren't really doing anything during the day. Maybe they were on retirement, like military retirement, disability, unemployed. And it was good because we were talking to people. But then I started feeling like I was creating a space for people to come hang out and not accomplish anything.
Right.
So that's why I stopped doing my rooms because I didn't want to contribute to that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's basically what it is.
Yeah.
People that are retired, had nothing to do, and it's their way of socializing.
Yeah. It's like the corner bar in a way, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you and I, we had you're very well. You got a very good infrastructure put together with what you do. Explain to the people what you do.
So, my thing is connection. It's always been connection. My superpower is connecting people. I just love people. And so I started about 5 years ago. I was in the mortgage business. 20 years I've spent in real estate mortgages, did very well, built a large organization with 3 of my best friends. And, I was doing very well in that money-wise, but I would come home very conflicted because I was feeling like I was doing what I was supposed to do, what I was taught to do as a kid, which was provide a great lifestyle for my family. But I would come home unfulfilled and something just wasn't right. And so one day I just started thinking to myself, I said, I got to stop doing things just for money and find something that I'm really passionate about, but also can make money. And the scary part about it was I was making good money and I had a certain lifestyle, which is not real lavish by any means, but my family's used to it. I was used to it. And the scary part about it is that chasing a passion, you're going to have to pull back a little bit. Right. And so I did that. I ended up pulling back a little bit and actually a lot, and just dove headfirst into podcasting and helping other people do what I've done now, which is I've been on over 900 podcasts in the last 5 years. And in doing that, I really got really good at connecting and figuring out how to get people booked on shows. And then the most important part is once you go on a show, what do you do after? Do you just rely on, for example, I'm not going to just rely on you to get this message out. I'm going to get the raw content from you, and then we're going to repurpose it, and then we're going to become omnipresent and get it everywhere. So I got really good at that. And then I said, I can go only so far by myself. If I help other people do the same thing, then I have an exponential effect, and we can really impact the world. So I started that one agency. And what we do is we help people like you, me, entrepreneurs, speakers, celebrities, get on great podcasts. And then after that, we teach them how to leverage the attention we get through monetization and getting the message out and becoming omnipresent.
Yeah, people don't understand the podcasting industry. They think because you're on the air that you're doing something. But it's an awful lot of work, like anything. Mm-hmm. It's like writing a book.
Yeah.
Writing the book is the easiest part. Selling it is the most difficult. Yeah. And people don't understand that there.
Yeah.
And that's why the average author in their lifetime only sells 250 books and makes $500 in their lifetime.
Yeah.
And explain, I can't even count the number of podcasts I've done. Mm-hmm. This week alone, and it's only Wednesday, I did 2 so far. I'm not doing any more this week. Where I've been interviewed, mm-hmm. I average 3 a week all over the world. And now I'm getting a little more fussy on which ones I do, and so forth. But one thing I know for sure, podcasts, people who listen to podcasts do not buy books.
Yeah, well, the book thing and with podcasting, the secret, all right, you ready for this? And if anybody's watching and taking notes while you're watching or listening, the key and the secret is over and over and over and over and over and over again. And I could keep going. It's consistency.
Well,
and you got to pile it on. And a lot of people, what they'll do, or is they'll start a podcast, or they'll go on some shows, or they'll write a book, and then they'll do a little bit, and they don't get the traction or the momentum.
Right.
And then they quit. So what I did, when I figured out the key to podcasting was volume, I went on 7 to 10 shows a week consistently for 4 years. And then all of a sudden, I started seeing this power happen where I was connecting with some of the most successful, well-known people on the planet, speaking on some of the biggest stages with those people. And see, that's the key. It's consistency over long periods of time. And that's where people miss out.
Well, that's old thing in the advertising business.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I learned from previous businesses I had years ago. Mm-hmm. And it's just why me as an author, I'm approaching 20,000 books.
Congratulations, that's awesome.
But I'm constant, consistent, every single day.
Yeah, you don't shut up about it, which is what you need to do. See, you don't care about what people think about, oh, geez, he's talking about his book again. Who cares what people think?
Right.
Right? And that's where they're so worried about what people think that they stop and they let people inhibit them. Where you don't do that. You're hard-headed, which is a good thing. Hard-headed and being stubborn is actually a good thing when it's on the right thing.
Yeah, well, it's not being stubborn. It's being smart too.
Well,
Okay?
but
It's
stubborn.
understanding.
But stubbornness,
Yeah.
meaning that you just don't give in. You just keep pounding,
Right.
right? Because that's what it takes really to be successful.
Constant and consistent.
Yeah.
No matter what you do in life. You know, I know you do a lot of training of people in different aspects of things. What type of training do you do? What do you provide to people? What do you offer in your training program?
So first of all, what I do is I do things for myself, get really good at it, and then I create a business around it. So that I teach people and then serve people through doing versus, oh, I'm gonna be an agent for someone and I don't really agent for myself. And I'm gonna go try to help people, but I haven't been through the things and had the experience to learn the setbacks, the difficulties, how do you get around things. I've already done all that, and now I can take that and then teach people the same thing. So, you know, I'm a performance expert. I know how to build businesses and scale businesses, and I know how to build brands. And so I just guide people with those things, those areas.
Well, you do a good job in it.
Thank you.
One thing I noticed.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't do nothing in that area. People have been asking me for a long time to start training programs.
Yeah.
And I thought about it. And if I were to start a training program of what it takes to become successful, the first thing I would teach people how to do is make their bed in the morning. You got to have certain habits. You got to dress properly. I would teach you how to dress.
You know, that's the thing too, is that you could dress with a suit, tie, you could dress, whatever you do, you need to lean into it. You need to choose it and you need to make it your own and lean into it. And that's what I do. I had a mentor one time and he's like, you know, C-Roc, I think I would lose the hat. And I said, you know what? He said, I know what you're going to say. You want to buck the system. You want to just say, watch me be successful with this outfit. And that's kind of how I feel.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be just like anyone else.
So it become your outfit then.
Yeah, well, this is the brand I started, That One, right? This is what it's about. It's about finding
That's the name of your brand.
Yeah, That One. Yeah. Because here's the thing, Ori.
I don't see the one.
It's right here. It's hidden. But you know what this does? Let me tell you. So I'm on an elevator. I'm in an airport. People say, what's that? What's that? This gets people asking questions. And then I tell them it's That One. It's my brand. It's a company I started. And it gets the conversation started. But the thing is that I've had most of my success. And what I've watched and witnessed other super successful people do is they find out who they are. Not what they do. Who they are, what their standards are, what their core values are, what their non-negotiables are. And they don't care what other people think. And they lean into it unapologetically. And they don't let any other people direct them into, push them into different ways. Because in life, and you've had your success because when you had your goals, they were your goals.
Right.
They weren't somebody else's goals. And that's what happens to people. They don't commit to their own things, dreams, and then they end up chasing and helping other people with their dreams.
Well, you're absolutely correct. And one of the biggest mistakes people do is they start taking the advice of other people.
Opinions.
Huh? Opinions.
Versus advice. There's a difference.
Well, it's like watching cable news. You're getting different people. You're not getting news. You're getting opinions.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
From different people.
So let me, can I tell you a story since this is Stories with Ori? So I'm going to share something with you. Growing up, I grew up around a lot of brokenness, okay? And brokenness, alcohol, drugs. I've witnessed mental health issues, suicide. And the thing I noticed was people always shared a story of why they were being like that, which always stemmed from someone else. Oh, my parents were hard on me. That's why I'm an alcoholic. My parents were an alcoholic. That's why I have anxiety now. All these things were justifying what they were doing, but they didn't want to be like that. They didn't want to be a drug addict. They didn't want to be depressed, but they were basically living off of someone else's cause. And so for me, I started saying, you know what? And I would call them out on it, whether it was my grandmother, my cousins, my uncles. And I started saying, if I'm going to call them out on it, about you're living a story of someone else, a cause of someone else, I had to try something. So I started experimenting at a young age, 8 to 11 years old, of telling them a story of why I was going to be successful and seeing if it worked the other way too. And it did. And so I started saying, you know what? I'm going to start pushing things out there, ideas, dreams, and then I'm going to start living those dreams and then cause and create my own future versus living off of someone else's cause. And it's powerful, man. But the thing is, those in power now, corporations, government, they don't want you to do that. They don't want you to be powerful because it takes their power away. And so I just keep leaning into it and pounding. And most people don't do it, and that allows me to elevate and help other people to elevate.
So what's a day like for C-Roc when he wakes up in the morning?
So my day is very structured. I know exactly what I'm going to be doing. I live off my calendar. And you know, the thing is that I don't want time to control me. I want to control time. So in order for me to do that, I need to push things in my calendar that are important intentionally. And then by the end of the day, I assess my day and I check it out and say, okay, did I go towards my dreams or away from it? So that I can adjust. Most people don't do this every day. And that way it allows me to adjust for the next day. So I pay attention to myself a lot. In the morning, I take care of myself, whether it's mentally reading books, getting clear on what I want, and then taking care of my body. And then from there, I'm in mode of just contacting as many people as possible and having conversations with people and causing and creating futures with people. And that's one of the most, my mentor taught me this, one of the most attractive things you can do is help cause and create futures for people.
Right.
And so that's what I focus on every day.
So you live by a calendar.
Yeah. Yep.
That's one thing.
Monday through Friday.
I have a calendar. It's in my head.
Yeah. I tried that. It didn't work for me.
Yeah. I do put things in my phone.
Yeah.
My calendar in my phone. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in a different area. I'm a little bit older than you.
Well, yeah. So now you have that luxury of, hey, I don't feel like doing that today. I'm trying to shrink how long it takes to do something right now. So I have to be very structured with that. And, there's things that I don't put on my calendar if it doesn't go towards my dreams. I say no to that, but I'll say yes to pretty much everything that goes towards where I want to go. And so, I really have seen a exponential speed over the last 4 years. I've probably accomplished more in the last 4 years once I started living this way than I did the prior 40 years.
Oh, so you only started this 4 years ago?
About 2019. So 5 years.
I thought you've been doing it longer than that.
Well, I was doing mortgages and real estate and building a business that way longer, 20 years. But building my own personal brand and then helping other people and doing this, it's been 5 years. But it seems like a lot longer for people because, again, I shrunk the time it took to accomplish things. And now it's, and let me tell you, it really came down to, I lost my stepfather in 2019 to a sudden heart attack. And when I noticed him, what he did and how he lived his life with passion and it just ended, it gave me a sense of urgency. Because I said, I don't know how long we have here. So I need to accomplish things as fast as possible, effectively, and move faster. And when I made that commitment and that decision, everything started to fall in place.
Well, that's why you've heard me say it. Our most valuable asset is time.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that so many people waste it every single day.
Yeah, yeah.
And, we're not going to be here forever. And from the time we're born to the time that we go, it's a blimp. So I try to urge everybody to be happy, be positive, and do what you enjoy doing, and you'll be successful.
100%, man. And I lost a friend 2 weeks ago. He took his own life. I would have never thought this guy would ever did that, right? And for some reason, I've seen a lot of suicide in my life. From when my grandmother did it, my stepfather's dad did it, friends, I've seen a lot of it, and it always hits me. I can't imagine ever getting to that point, but why people do that? But then I start to think to myself, when I start feeling down, I remember I control how I feel. And so then I start to think about comparing myself to other people doesn't make sense because you never know what's going on inside of their head.
You don't know.
The surface is always a facade. And so then I start thinking to myself, 2 weeks ago when my friend passed, I started thinking to myself, I want to really narrow in on focusing on being present and where I am right now. Like I'm with you right now. My attention is on you and I want to make the best of this situation right now. And then when we're done, I'll move on to the next thing. I'm not going to think about, okay, what do I have to do this afternoon?
Mm-hmm. Now, you were in the mortgage business, and you did very well in it. What do you think of the mortgage business and the economy of real estate in today's world?
So right now we're in a situation where these big corporations are buying up all the single-family homes, limiting the inventory. So the average American or the millennials that are coming up now, they're having to shack up with other friends of theirs, split rent, split a mortgage, what have you, and it's making it very difficult on one of the main drivers of the U.S. economy, which is real estate. real estate agents, the mortgage business, banking, it's making it very difficult. And I don't really know the answer of how they're going to do this unless they start limiting corporations from buying single family homes, which I don't know if that's possible, but they need to be able to speed up building new homes, and then limit somehow the investing of homes, because as investors that aren't living in primary homes, because otherwise we are going to become a renter nation, and you won't own anything unless you're an investor.
I think we are becoming a renter's nation, particularly here in California, where there's not that much property available. Real estate's a premium, higher here than most other parts of the country. But everybody wants to bitch about the interest rate, and I remember when the interest rate was, we grew up with this rate. So it was nothing. But I think now I'm seeing a little bit change where people are getting accustomed, okay, this is going to be the interest rate. And there is some sales are picking up in certain areas.
I think so. Here's the thing. So in anything that happens, whether it's the interest rates going up, the economy, whatever, the president that you like or don't like is in office, people complain about things, right? What the hell does complaining do? Complaining. So the best thing to do
is not good.
It's assess what you have in front of you and win the game. Everything's a game. So like the way I look at it, right? I'm not a fan of Biden, of course. I'm not a fan of Biden, of course. Just not, because I see a big picture happening here. But the thing is that, okay, this is the game that's put in front of me. I have one vote, right? And I'm in Maryland. It's a blue state, right? So I don't really have the control there. I can vote. I will vote. But at the end of the day, okay, this is the game that's put in front of me. This is how I approach things, Ori. It's not just politics or what have you, but this is the game that's put in front of me. How can I win the game? Instead of bitching and complaining. And so that's the way I approach things, and it seems to work pretty good.
It's like, I thought, talking politics, I thought about it this morning. Why don't we have a nation where instead of voting for red or blue, all right, why don't we vote, Ori Spado and C-Roc are running for president. Which one of us you like the most? Well, which one you think we're, okay? But they're dedicated to the blue or the red parties. It doesn't make a difference who the person is.
It drives division.
Huh?
It drives division. So if you have three or more, you're not as divided. If you only have two choices, right? Red or blue, black or white, women or men, gay or straight. You notice it's in twos.
Right.
When you have twos, you're going to have two sides, and they're going to go at each other, and there's division. And the people that in power love this because they won't have anybody uprising and pushing them out of power and limiting their power. So it's intentional. Once you know this and you start to see this, then you say, okay, well, that's the situation. I'm not going to get caught up in arguments and debates and all this. I'm going to win the game.
Well, I'm not going to be able to change it. Okay, I'm one person. I believe we should not have the electoral college. Okay, they should not determine the will of the people. It should be the will of the people that determines who the president is. And, that's something we had that's probably never going to change either.
Yeah.
But.
So let me ask you, when you going forward right now, for the rest of your life, where you are in your life right now, what would have to happen to to be like the perfect rest of your life?
Did I live to 105?
And what happens? What happens? And what happens?
Stay healthy.
Healthy, 105. But what happens during that time? What are you doing?
In my head, I still think I'm 21.
Me too. Me too.
But my body tells me differently.
Yeah.
But I never want to be in a nursing home. I never want to be where I'm not able to walk. I always try to stay agile. I walk every day. Try to get my exercise in. Not like you do, but it works for me. But I do that. I eat fairly healthy. And
But let me ask you, I think what I noticed from observing you is that you really want to help people with the things that you've been through, the things you've overcome, and help, and you really care. It seems to help other
I
people.
wake up every morning and I go to bed at night and I say a prayer and I ask the Lord to allow me another day to continue to help Him make this world a better place and make people happy.
Yeah.
And that's what I ask. And actually, somebody just posted, I said that in an interview. So that's what I've been doing, and those have been giving me the greatest happiness of my life here on this earth.
And if you, the type of lifestyle you lived, right? If you could go back and change anything, not regrets, forget about regrets, because I don't, whatever. But if you could change something from when you were younger, you can go back as far back as you want to. What would you have changed? Whether it's something you did, the way you lived, and like the way you acted, the way you felt. How would you have changed? And don't give me the line that, oh, I wouldn't change anything. Forget about that. Let's say if you would change something, what would that be?
Why don't we give you that line? I couldn't change anything, so I wouldn't change anything.
But if you could, let's.
If I could change anything,
Because here's why I'm telling you. Here's what I'm telling you though. I want to let you know because there's people watching that are younger than you.
Yeah.
And they may be in a situation that they're living and they hear you say something right now that could change their life.
You know, the first wife that I married was the correct woman to marry. But I had this thing in my head that it was okay for me to screw around. And that was wrong. So if I was to correct anything, is I would have changed that and stuck with that woman.
Yeah, yeah.
That would have been the only one thing. Because, you know, in a way, that even though I'm close with my children, and she and I, we talk, we're cordial, we're nice to each other. And, you know, we get together for family gatherings and stuff. But it's would have been different. You know what I mean? And, you know, then again, I lived across country from them.
Yeah.
So it was, but I can't change it. It is what it is. And thank God we made the best from my mistake that I made.
Well, so here's what I get from this, right? So I've been married 21 years coming up this May. I have 2 healthy kids. My wife is beautiful. We have a nice, nice family, nice house. And sometimes I get this thing in my head where I should be further along than I am professionally, financially, right, in my career. And I had a lady that's a friend of mine. Shout out to Amelia. She's a friend of mine, and I consider her a mentor. And I said that to her one time. And this relates to what you said right here. And I said, I feel like I should be so much further along. I see you have exited a company for millions. I see all the other people. I know I have the capability to do that. And she said, I don't want to ever hear you say that again. She said, you did something that I didn't do. I didn't focus on my family. I focused on my profession, my career, chasing money, success, and my family suffered. And you have done, she said, she's talking to me, she said, you have done what I didn't do, which is build a foundation. And now you're in your 40s, you've built that foundation, and now you're going to skyrocket. And it just shifted the perspective for me. And for what you're just saying there, it really makes sense to me.
Yeah, well, it's true. She was a real woman. The most successful and legitimate business was when I was married to her. She was by my side for good, bad, anything.
Yeah.
So she was a good woman. She is a great woman.
Yeah, yeah. So people, I think what it is like, look at your situation. And if you are in a situation where you have a great spouse, kids, healthy, everything's healthy, take a look at that and really don't take it for granted.
Right.
Because when you have a good home life, it makes business a lot easier, right? Yeah, so thank you for sharing that, because I know it takes, it's transparent and vulnerable.
I never said that before to anybody.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you
either.
answering that.
So you got that out of me, which was very good of you.
Thank you. I think the audience would appreciate it too. I think that they'll be able to relate, and then, hopefully it changes somebody's, trajectory.
Yeah, because, people think I lived such a glamorous life, Newspapers are written that I lived a glamorous life in Hollywood. but nobody knows what's inside.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
It was not glamorous. It was a hard hustle every single day, every moment. You know, you don't know. You got to wake up every day, hustle a dollar. You don't know who's going to kill you, or somebody's going to try to kill you. So it's a different life, that I lived, and I'm going to be 80 in December. I'm here to talk about it, and I think this guy left me here on earth to try to teach people not to do what the hell I did.
Yeah.
There's a better way, because there's nothing better than having a family and being happy, okay? It's not how much money you got. It's not the car you drive. And people are embedded with that in today's world.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not that at all.
Yeah.
Because those don't bring happiness.
Yeah.
It makes life a little bit easier to live. When you go to a grocery store and don't buy 5 items and have to spend $100.
Yeah, yeah.
Like today.
Well, I was thinking this morning, I actually was just by myself. I do a lot of thinking, and I thought to myself, I'm very blessed and thankful that I was able to work on myself and develop myself into who I am today, and I'm going to continue to grow before I really made a lot of success. I think I've had success, but to where I have my potential to where I know I can go, I'm so glad that, because I think success and money just magnify who you actually are at that time, right?
Well, this is something that people don't understand. That, like what you just said, you got to do it every day. And people like yourself or myself, we're not happy with that there, and we always want more. We always feel we could do much better. Mm-hmm. We could do bigger. Mm-hmm. And we keep striving for that because we live a life where we are constant all the time in what we're doing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We believe in what we do, and it is the right thing, and we try to teach others to do that.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yep. And consistency can get boring sometimes, but that's what it takes.
Yeah, it does.
Boring old consistency.
Sometimes you do the same thing every day, but we do it. I told you I pray at night, I pray in the morning. When I got arrested, I stopped praying. I can remember my first night in prison. Lord, why the fuck you doing this to me? And it took me a while. I can remember in Brooklyn and D.C., finally one day, I don't know what it was, I started praying again. And after I started praying, I started doing more research and studying the law more. And I saw things slowly changing. I'm very blessed that I ended up with only 62 months. I was facing life in prison. But, we had one rat that did terrible in a trial before. They didn't want to use him against us. And so that case got dismissed. So prayer works. It works for me, folks.
Yeah, I agree.
It works for me. I can remember a guy that was a mentor to me, W. Clement Stone. He prayed there all the time. You read his books, The Success System That Never Failed. He's the guy that made Napoleon Hill. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. I really think that you have to come to a conclusion at some point that you have to take responsibility.
Yeah.
The decisions we make, the actions we take, the people we keep around us have to be under our control. And when you don't take that responsibility and you push that responsibility out onto someone else by blaming or pointing a finger, this and that, then you lose control.
Yeah, I never blame somebody else. If I fucked up and I did it because somebody else did, it was my fault, because I always blame myself. Because you start blaming other people, what are you looking for a scapegoat? Just blame yourself and take full responsibility. I do that all the time.
Yep. Yep. I mean, I think it's important for people to understand how that works and why is because you have no control when you put the responsibility on someone else.
Right.
Everybody wants control. Like nobody wants to be a puppet, but you become a puppet when you start blaming, when you don't take responsibility. And so my thing, one of my philosophies is that I don't ever want to be a puppet. I want to be the puppet master. I want to control things. And in order to do that, I have to take control. I have to take responsibility and for everything that I do.
Well, the one thing I know, I can control Ori Spado.
Mm-hmm.
I can't control you. I can't control Andy. I could try to help. I could advise. But I can't control.
Yeah.
Because you're going to do what you want to do.
Yeah. I can tell you a little secret though. I figured something out. So I figured something out about confidence. This is a little thing I just came to realization. I had like a cognition recently that if you have confidence and you can figure out how to bottle confidence, the world turns for you. So you can actually control in a way people the way they respond to you. But if you lose confidence, the world will turn against you.
Oh, well, confidence is very
So there's ways to influence. I don't know about control, but influence people. And, to every degree that you can do that, then you kind of are controlling things.
Well, if you could get people to be confident in who they are, then you're doing something.
Yeah.
Okay?
But it starts with you.
I'm confident with everything that I do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Anything you like to add for these people out here that are going to listen? Because I think this was an awesome thing. All right, we think.
Yeah. No, you've done a great job, and I'm glad you were able to get transparent and vulnerable with the audience and me. I really want people to understand that we're put here on this planet to live the life of our dreams, and despite what we're told, we have different things coming at us from all different angles. We need to understand that we do have that power, and it all stems from getting around the right people, thinking the right way, speaking the right way, doing the right things in the direction of that dream that you set out.
And doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. Yep. So thanks for having me, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you. My pleasure, buddy.